All right, so here's what we've got. Um, we're not going to change anything in this step, but black and white is not that cool. So I would like to display this elevation data in something that's a little bit more attractive. So I'm going to turn off the gorillas because I'm not interested in that right away. I'm going to double click on my elevation data and change here under symbology, change my render type to single band pseudo color. Now there are a lot of options that come here as color ramps. So here are the ones that come predefined. There are also some others here under all color ramps. These are colors that the people who wrote QGIS think go well together. But here under create new color ramp, we've got even more options. So the ones that we've been looking at so far have been gradients. Down here is Color Brewer. If you're in my stats class, you may remember Color Brewer. That was a PhD thesis written by, I think her first name is Patricia Brewer, who looked at colors and cartography. But we're going to go up here to Catalog, CPT City, and hit OK. And over here under Topography, we're going to select Elevation. So these are the, as you can see, these are all combinations of the typical elevation colors that we see, but I'm just going to select Elevation, click on OK, click on Classify so that it applies it to my data, and then hit Apply and OK. So now we have this elevation data shown in colors that we typically associate with elevation, right? The blues down here are lower, and here are the mountaintops in the darker color. There's not a lot of 3D element to this, so I'm gonna do something even more. I'm gonna go up here to raster, and under analysis and hillshade, I'm going to dump in my elevation data and create a hillshade. Now you can play with all of these. We only have one band, but you can play with the vertical exaggeration or the scale or the azimuth or the altitude, but these seem to be pretty good defaults. So these determine where the sun is located that would cast the shadows on the mountains. And for reasons I don't understand, mountains look more like mountains when the sun is up near the North Pole, which of course it never is, so this isn't true, but this is what looks good to human eyes generally. So I'm going to save this as a hillshade. I'm going to creatively call it hillshade. And since I've actually already got that here, I'm just going to call this hillshade, hit save. And since I've already created it, I'll tell it to replace. And hit run. All right, close that out. All right, so here's my hillshade sitting on top of my SRTM. So I'm going to drag that to below there. Now we could double click on SRTM and go up here to transparency and play with this so that we could start to see some of the 3D elements below the color. But I think it's better to leave that at 100%. Go back up here to symbology again, and down here under color rendering, if you change this from normal to multiply, it will merge together this image and the one that's below it, which is now our hillshade image. So when we hit apply and OK, we get a much more, I think, attractive display of our elevation data.